During World War II, more than 4,500 women served in OSS, both in the field and at home, often putting their lives at risk, doing jobs that were as essential to the war effort as those of the men. The women of OSS fought the good fight at the tip of the spear. Some of them were world famous and more than glamorous, like actress and singer Marlene Dietrich, who enticed lonely Nazis to give up the fight. Chef Julia Child, who managed classified data in Ceylon. Countess Eileen de Romanones, who operated as an OSS agent in Spain. And Evangeline Bruce, who served front and center at OSS headquarters London. All worked to deceive and defeat the Axis powers. In the words of an OSS officer, they packed our parachutes, decoded our messages, forged our identity papers, and mapped the terrain where we operated. In the dead of night, they marked rendezvous sites for Allied planes to drop weapons and materiel, and picked up downed Allied flyers. Jane Wallace Burrell served as an OSS case officer with OSS's counterintelligence branch called X2 in occupied France and Germany. She was later recognized as the first CIA officer to have died while in service. Gertrude Legendre worked with many senior Allied officers. She was captured and interrogated by the Nazis, but miraculously escaped. Cora Dubois worked alongside Lord Louis Mountbatten and OSS Commander John Coughlin in OSS's war room with Detachment 404 in Ceylon. Stephanie Czech-Rader worked undercover for OSS in war-torn Warsaw, where she spied on the Soviets as well as on former Nazis. She famously said OSS gave me a gun, but I never carried a gun. What the heck was I going to do with a dumb gun? Certain women of OSS deserve special mention. First and foremost is Virginia Hall, who was inserted twice behind enemy lines into occupied France. Known to the Gestapo as the lady who limps due to her wooden leg, she served courageously, maintaining radio contact with OSS headquarters in London as she coordinated airdrops, staged rescues, and rounded up Nazi spy nets. She evaded capture innumerable times. Awarded the Distinguished Service Cross by General Donovan, she was the only civilian woman to receive this distinction in World War II. Another heroine was Barbara Lauers-Podolsky, a diminutive army private of Czech extraction. She was a master of black propaganda, morale operations now known as disinformation. Working out of Rome in the fight up the boot of Italy, interrogating German POWs, she convinced hundreds of Czech soldiers to defect to the Allies, telling them they were being used and exploited by the Nazis and the war was lost. For her ingenuity and her bravery, she was awarded the Bronze Star. Betty Lucier's father was a World War I ace, and her godfather was Sir William Stevenson, the man called Intrepid. Forbidden to fly combat, Betty ferried airplanes for the Air Transport Auxiliary throughout the European theater. She then worked on Ultra, breaking codes at Bletchley, and joined X2 based in North Africa. Her last act was rolling up a big Nazi spy ring in France, promising a starstruck Nazi paymaster, "We can get you to Hollywood, but we need something in return." The Nazi gave Betty his list of collaborators, but he never did make it to Hollywood. Betty McIntosh was on the island of Oahu the day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Fluent in Japanese, Betty joined OSS and worked in morale operations. She created propaganda to demoralize Japanese soldiers fighting in Burma by describing how badly the war was going for the Japanese. One of her fondest memories was of General Donovan striding into OSS headquarters in Ceylon, and with his Irish swagger asking, "So tell me, what mischief are you up to?" Following in the footsteps of the remarkable men and women of OSS, Gina Haspel has dedicated herself in the same selfless spirit to serve the CIA's sacred mission. She was born in Kentucky and grew up as an Air Force brat on military bases around the world. She went to high school in Britain. She's a huge fan of the national champion Kentucky Wildcats, although she transferred from that university to its rival, the University of Louisville, where she graduated with honors with a degree in journalism. Working as a contractor with the 10th Special Forces Group at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, she ran the library and language lab. One of the soldiers, Michael Vickers, suggested she look into the CIA as a place where women could serve doing clandestine work around the world. So she sent off a letter simply addressed CIA, Washington, D.C. She said, "I wanted to be part of something bigger than just me. I think with my dad's service in the military, I saw that as a natural affinity. I wanted an overseas adventure where I could put my love of foreign languages to use." CIA delivered. Her first overseas assignment was as a case officer posted in Africa. She said, "It was right out of a spy novel. It really didn't get any better than that." She was in her element, doing what she signed up for, carrying out a clandestine mission in a struggling country, plastered with billboards full of Marxist-Leninist slogans. She traveled throughout the area, mastering the art of recruiting and handling foreign agents. She also survived a coup d'etat. She served as station chief in multiple hardship posts. One night, having learned terrorists were arriving in her country, she quickly mounted an operation that led to the terrorists' arrest and imprisonment, along with the seizure of computers that contained details of a terrorist plot. As the fight against Al-Qaeda was heating up, she asked to be assigned to the agency's counterterrorism center. Her first day on the job was September 11th, 2001. She walked into the middle of the whirlwind, sat down at a computer, and worked non-stop for 3 years, often working 7 days a week. Having served honorably and faithfully as a veteran clandestine officer, a chief of station, acting director of the National Clandestine Service, deputy director, and now director of CIA, she is first among equals and highly deserving of the trust now placed in her.